Good evening to you and thanks for joining us. This is the 7 p.m. edition of the news on DBS television. We begin with our top story. Ramadan 2021 has ended for Muslim faithfuls across Cameroon with gatherings, preachings and feasting across the country. Get highlights of this activity or celebrations as they happened across the country. Details of this in this newscast. Stay with us. Happy end of Ramadan to all Muslim faithfuls, as well as a happy Assumption to all Christians across Cameroon. You are watching the 7 p.m. edition of the news, which is in the English language, here on DBS television with me, Cynthia Nguemo. We open the news beginning with religion, as Muslim faithfuls in Cameroon have joined their counterparts all over the world to celebrate the end of the holy month of Ramadan. In Bois de Senche neighborhood here in Douala, the principal message given to the Muslim faithfuls was for them to live a life that is worth Muslims that have fasted and prayed for 30 days. In Bangazi neighborhood of the city, the point of prayer was for Allah not to allow COVID-19 to triumph over humankind in and out of Cameroon, while at Mosque Al Huda, their prayer intention was for peace to reign in Cameroon as well as the world at large. Mange Venasius in the following brings us details from the various prayer as well as celebration points here in the city of Douala. His reports.
It was in this prayerful mode that men, women and children in their numbers turned out, according to the prescriptions of the Holy Quran, to celebrate the feast marking the end of the holy month of Ramadan, Thursday, the 13th of May 2021, at Bois de Senche Central Mosque. After the ritual prayers to thank Allah the Almighty for giving them another opportunity to go through the month of fasting and prayer, the central Imam, Abgassi Mahamat, who led prayers in his sermon, exhorted these followers of Muhammad that the spirit of Ramadan should reflect their daily lives even after the month. And so these faithfuls remain thankful for such blessings.
This month, it brings to us joy, it brings to us blessings. So many things that one cannot really tell, except he does it in the Islam, that will really understand what the month really means.
A ceremony that saw the participation of local and traditional authorities, especially from other communities living in this neighborhood. According to the chief of Dinde village, Ntumwele Robert Emile, this is a sign of real social cohesion existing in Bois de Senche, a locality fondly called Cameroon in miniature.
We are here today to feast with our fellow brothers, the Muslims, because today is their feast. So we deem it necessary to accompany them. So because we live in this quarter like one person.
Among them were representatives of the Bamun community, different quarter heads who, as El Hajj Hesena Mahamat says, are all their brothers and sisters. Celebrations continued at individual levels. Muslim faithfuls in Benghazi neighborhood in Bois de Senche joined their counterparts nationwide in prayers to mark the end of the month of Ramadan. Prayers were centered on thanking Allah the Most High for his blessings during the 30 days of fasting and praying. It was an opportunity for the presiding Imam to call on these Muslim faithfuls to be happy for anyone who fasted and prayed in faith during the month of Ramadan will have his sins forgiven, while awaiting compensation from Allah, a God they should adore without associating with anything whatsoever. Lamido Hamad Judah Haman called on Muslims to pray hard for God's favor in the world, especially that Allah should spare mankind from the deadly pandemic coronavirus. He called for respect of barrier measures as they celebrate. It was with this exaltation to Allah, the Most High, that Muslim faithfuls gathered at the Mosque Al-Huda at Congo neighborhood in Douala 2 subdivision to celebrate the feast of the end of Ramadan, a holy month in which they fasted and prayed for 30 days. Men, women, and children answered present in their beautiful outfits. In his sermon, the officiating Imam Hustas Bari called on his faithfuls to totally submit themselves to Allah as the Holy Quran says. He invited them to pray for peace in our country, peace in our city, peace in our families, and peace in the world at large.
With the prayer for our country so that may peace continue for Cameroon. We know say Cameroon is a peaceful country, so Cameroon need prayer. So all this time of fasting, we did with him. He make prayer for Mosque Al-Huda.
A particularity Muslim faithfuls in this mosque had this year is the visit of a young imam from Egypt, Imam Adamu Sanu, who is the best Quran reader in Africa from his category. He has prayed throughout the month of Ramadan with them, thanks to the invitation of El Haj Bari, the principal imam of Mosque Al-Huda.
Away with the Ramadan in Douala, we now take you to Yaoundé, where Muslim faithfuls also gathered in their numbers to pray and thank Allah for His mercies and blessings. Ate Bonaventure reports that it was an occasion to also pray for peace and unity in Cameroon. His report.
The celebration of this year's Ramadan feast centered on three main themes: peace, unity, and health. Muslim faithful gathered in their numbers to thank Allah for enabling them go through the 30 days of fasting, hitch-free, and for the numerous blessings they receive while fulfilling the command of their Creator.
Today is a day of celebration of glory of the Almighty. Before, people have given their zakat, the alms, to the poor, to the needy, and even those needy persons, while having received enough stuff of food, they are authorized also to do act of charity.
The presiding imam during his homily preached against disobedience, intolerance, and called on followers of Allah to remain peaceful and law-abiding citizens.
Life on this earth is a thing which is an ephemeral thing. We are here living today, and after we are going to die, we are going to go back to the Almighty God, so that we must worship Him as He has taught us to worship Him and to apply His law.
It was also an occasion for the believers to pray for peace and unity in Cameroon that is currently facing health and security challenges. The celebration at the Brikiteri Central Mosque, just like elsewhere, was preceded by merrymaking and the sharing of a common meal in families.
Over in the northwest region of Cameroon, Muslim faithfuls in Douala equally celebrated the end of the holy month of Ramadan, the 30-day period of fasting and prayer for Muslim faithfuls. Joined by son of the soil El Haj Baba Amadou Danpulo, the Muslim community gathered at the Douala Mosque to thank Allah for the day and pray for more to come. Peace and living together in Cameroon is the principal message that they took home to continue feasting with food and drinks to seal the day. Let's now listen to the following excerpts where they recall the message and thank Baba Danpulo for his gesture in making the day memorable for them. Let's listen.
Responsibility to fight toward peace. We should ensure that peace should always last in this country, and that was the main message I got from the Imam. And he also stressed on the importance of living together with our brothers and sisters in this country.
To see my colleagues enjoying like me here, I'm also enjoying. You can just look at the brightness of the weather too. Always from the weather, it determines how the Saturday is looking. So I appreciate my brothers, especially the father of this compound today. He do everything to make us happy. Like the day of yesterday, he shared dresses like the one I'm wearing now. So I'm very happy. I'm extra happy.
Now I feel very happy. I thank the Almighty Allah that I finished the fasting peacefully without any problem. So Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Very thank God. Alhamdulillah. May the Almighty God lead us by mercy again and bring again, inshallah.
Away with religion and notably the Ramadan, we now talk other stories. Cameroon's President Paul Biya has cancelled official ceremonies marking the 2021 edition of the National Day in Cameroon, that is on the 20th of May, reason being the COVID-19 pandemic. A statement released yesterday, May 12, by the Minister of State, Secretary General at the Presidency, Ferdinand Gongo, said President Paul Biya had called off all official ceremonies to commemorate the day which symbolizes when the country became a unitary state in 1972. The president also asked all Cameroonians to observe measures to limit the spread of COVID-19 during celebrations, adding that COVID-19 is a strategic reality despite the country's commendable efforts to fight the pandemic. That was it for stories in Cameroon, and now we shall talk about other stories which are out of the continent, or rather out of the country, but still in the African continent. In Uganda, the President Yoweri Museveni has been sworn in for a 6th term in office after he won official presidential elections in January, or rather in February. President Museveni obtained 58% of votes in the January 14 vote, denounced as a masquerade by his main challenger Robert Kyagulanyi, aka Bobby Wine, who received 35% of the vote. Despite Wine contesting his victory, Yoweri Museveni was sworn in on Wednesday at a ceremony in Uganda's capital Kampala under heavy security to avoid any demonstrations by the opposition. 11 African heads of state attended the ceremony, amongst which were the leaders of Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, and DR Congo. Chinese and Russian representatives were also present. Prior to the swearing-in, pop star turned politician Bobby Wine and Kizza Besigye, another opposition leader, reported that their homes had been surrounded by police and military to prevent them from going out. Ugandan police, however, described their presence around the residences of the opposition leaders as a normal security deployment for VIPs. Over in Congo, the President Denis Sassou Nguesso has appointed a new Prime Minister for the country in the person of Anatole Colline Makosso in replacement of Clément Mwamba, according to a decree issued on Wednesday night. 56-year-old Makosso was formerly Minister of Primary and Secondary Education in the outgoing government and is now in charge of forming a new government. During the last presidential election won by Denis Sassou Nguesso, Makosso was Deputy Campaign Director for the President. He comes with a challenging task awaiting him, that of forming a new government that would handle social issues such as access to water and electricity, the payment of pension arrears, as well as the fight against corruption. On to health news out of Africa. The World Health Organization has announced that the Indian variant of the coronavirus is fast spreading across other African countries. It said 3 more African countries, notably Algeria, DR Congo and Nigeria, have now detected the Indian variant of the coronavirus. The confirmation brings the total number of African countries to 7 that have confirmed the B1.617 mutation, which studies shows that spreads more easily than other variants. Though the World Health Organization's official who confirmed this provided no further details on the number of cases reported, the WHO, however, says the world must endeavor to limit the spread, classifying the variant as a variant of global concern. Those were news stories out of Cameroon, but in the African continent. And of course, it brought us to the end of this edition of the news on DBS television. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow for the last edition of the week. Until then, have a great night on DBS TV.
الله الذي